Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Yes, it's that wonderful time of the week once again. Welcome, folks, to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And on this episode, what we are going to be looking at for this week is a lot of unexpected news. In fact, I will say right now that the one who has made the biggest impact this week is hands down Disney. And most of the stories that I have for you today will actually be all about Disney. So hopefully you guys will definitely have a lot of fun. But also at the same time, I would just like to go and clarify that I'm not going to be covering all the major stories that did come from Disney. Like, for example, like I might as well just go and like make that statement right now that you might have heard the news that yes, Disney Plus has officially announced that they are going to be making a new season of the Proud Family along with bringing back the original cast. Now, I am not going to be commenting on this, mainly because I am not familiar with the show whatsoever. I haven't really done much research about what it's all about. I haven't seen a single episode. So it's just, I don't really feel that qualified to really discuss about the Proud Family, because if I would, then I would be talking about a show that I know nothing about, and I would mostly be talking about something that I don't know what I'm talking about, which doesn't happen here, just laying it out. But with that said, though, we're still gonna have a great episode because we have tons more stories to go and discuss. So, with all that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall and I would like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it. Are we all ready now? Let's see. Yes, okay. People are all set and people are all prepared. That is great. That is what I love to hear. So with that said, let us now go and get things started. So now, let us begin. And with the first story, I might as well not only get into the biggest story of the week, but probably the biggest entertainment news of the year that is just so unexpected. Like, this was something that just occurred and nobody was prepared for this moment. Like, it was one of the, like I said before, it was just very unexpected. It shocked the whole world, and now it looks like we might be entering into a new chapter in Disney's history. Or maybe not. You'll see what I mean. And what I'm talking about, of course, is gonna be Disney's new CEO. Yes, it is official. Bob Iger on Tuesday has stepped down as Disney CEO and officially gave the position to Bob Chapek, whom previously was the head of the theme parks division. Now, apparently what did actually occur is that, like, what a lot of people expected was that Bob Iger would mostly stay as Disney CEO all the way till the end of his contract, which would be by December 31st, 2021. So when 2022 would come in, then he would officially be out. But that's not really going to be the case anymore. Now, he is stepping down as the CEO, but he's not officially out of Disney as of yet. He is still going to be staying within the company as the chairman until his contract officially expires. But it's just this out-of-nowhere thing where suddenly he decided, all right, we're going to make Bob Chapek the new CEO of Disney. And if you want to know why Bob Chapek specifically, because beforehand, not many people would know, like, who would be the next Disney CEO after Bob Iger. Like, a few speculations were made, but it wasn't really something that people gave much of a serious thought. It would have been a major discussion next year, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. In fact, I'll go and read from my source here on Variety as to why specifically they went and decided to go with Bob Chapek, which, by the way, beforehand, he has previously worked at Disney. He is a Disney veteran, per se, where he worked at the company for 27 years, but as you could tell, has seriously climbed up the ranks to go higher and higher and higher until inevitably he just became the CEO. And I'll just read from my little source here as it states, Chapek has headed Disney's theme park division since 2015. In 2018, he was up to chairman of Parks, Experiences, and Products. Before that, Chapek held a range of senior management positions running consumer products, film distribution, and home entertainment at various times. Disney cited Chapek's success in launching Shanghai Disney Resort and Star Wars-themed lands in domestic parks, which, by the way, is Galaxy's Edge. They are examples of the skills that won him the promotion of CEO. And on top of that, we also do have a bit of comments coming from both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek. First, coming from Bob Iger himself, where I believe it's, just want to know, like, what would be a great one, because this article actually does have a whole lot of different quotes from both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, but I believe it would be, yeah, I think it's going to be, with this one here. So this one is going to be coming from Bob Iger, as he states, with the successful launch of Disney's direct-to-consumer businesses and the integration of 21st Century Fox well underway, I believe this is the optimal time to transition to a new CEO. I have the utmost confidence in Bob and look forward to working closely with him over the next 22 months as he assumes this new role and delves deeper into Disney's multi-phase global businesses and operations, while I continue to focus on the company's creative endeavors. So basically, since he is still going to be staying there as chairman, Bob Iger now has the new position of being the mentor to pretty much train Bob Chapek into actually being a CEO before he officially leaves by the end of 2021. And then we also got a quote coming from Bob Chapek himself stating, I am incredibly honored and humbled to assume the role of CEO of what I truly believe is the greatest company in the world, and to lead our exceptionally talented and dedicated cast members and employees. Bob Iger has built Disney into the most admired and successful media and entertainment company, and I have been lucky to enjoy a front row seat as a member of his leadership team. I share his commitment to create excellence, technological innovation, and international expansion, and I will continue to embrace these same strategic pillars going forward. Everything we have achieved thus far serves as a solid foundation for further creative storytelling, bold innovation, and thoughtful skill-taking. And also, one more thing I thought I would just like to add is that regarding his Bob Chapek's new position as CEO, apparently now he officially has 3 years in that position, or at least that's what his contract says. He has signed a deal that would go up to February 28th, 2023, to be the CEO of Disney. And then later on, eventually, around his time as CEO, he will be joining as the board of directors. Now, with all that said, what is the common reaction that you would find of the fact that Bob Iger is now the new leader of Bob Chapek is now the new leader of Disney in its entirety, not just the Disney parks and stuff like that? Well, some people might not necessarily know, and of course a lot of people are not necessarily familiar about some of the more business aspects of Disney, or especially how Bob Iger or especially Bob Chapek would be doing. And I am familiar that when it comes to knowledge on the Disney parks, not many people would know, especially for those who are either listening or watching this. And from there, if you do actually look into the reactions that the theme park community would have, because they are more familiar with Bob Chapek more than anyone else, the thing is that their reactions towards Bob Chapek being the new CEO is just, oh God. Oh no, they got that guy? That's gonna be the new CEO? Oh God. Yeah, so as you can tell, the theme park community is not a fan of Bob Chapek. And you might be wondering why. Well, like, why is it already that the fact that we already got a new CEO, which, by the way, is effective immediately, like, right when Bob Iger announced this, Bob Chapek's CEO position is effective, like, immediately. But why is it that some people are not excited of the fact that there is a new CEO, or more specifically, that Bob Chapek is the new CEO? Well, I will tell you why, and after doing a little bit of research, and after seeing what Bob Chapek has done, because I am a theme park fan myself, and I have seen, like, some of the activities under Bob Chapek's leadership, and I would explain to you that when it comes to Bob Chapek, it really does depend on how you feel regarding Bob Iger. Because if you're not a fan of the Bob Iger time of Disney, of how Bob Iger has been running the company, well, I'm just gonna say, you're gonna be pretty disappointed in Bob Chapek. If you're hoping for anything new to happen, if you're expecting like a brand new chapter where things are gonna be totally different at the Walt Disney Company because they got a new CEO, yeah, this is not really gonna happen, because I'm just gonna say Bob Chapek is pretty much like Bob Iger 2.0. And all you have to do is just look at what's been happening at the Disney parks in recent years to understand how that may be so. Because when it comes to Bob Chapek, he really is just like most other executives, where he values so much more existing IPs more than anything else. And by looking at the Disney parks, that's exactly what you would find. Very little originality can legitimately be found, and that's why we would see more and more and more IPs coming into the Disney parks. That's why we see more elements of Marvel coming in, doing things like replacing the Twilight Zone of Tower of Terror with what was it? Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, or add in like an entire Star Wars themed land, even though we already got stuff like Star Tours around the Disney parks, or adding in other major Disney properties all around, you know, adding in like putting in Frozen, putting in like other recent Disney films, and all that kind of stuff. Basically, what Bob Chapek has been doing under his leadership in recent years is really implementing a lot more existing IPs. So much so to the point of even going as far as replacing original IPs with already existing and currently popular IPs. That seems to be the name of the game with Bob Chapek. So with that said, now that he's going to be the brand new CEO and that he's going to be in charge of all of Disney, what I'm speculating that could happen with Bob Chapek is that he's going to be doubling down on existing IPs, not just at the parks, but also in terms of Disney's content everywhere, like on television shows, on movies, and on Disney Plus content, where not only are you going to see a lot of spin-offs, well, also a lot of sequels, a lot of spiritual successors, a lot of prequels, a lot of follow-ups, and all that kind of stuff, like pretty much building up on what's been established with existing IPs. But on top of that, they would all, like, Bob Chapek would most certainly continue building on live action remakes. And that's one thing I would like to highlight and would like to go and mention, because I know for a fact that there are plenty of people out there that are really, really desperate to know the fate of the Disney live action remakes. Like, I know that there are some people out there, like, I remember, like, when the news broke out, and, like, when I mentioned it on my social media, that there are people who would go as far and ask, oh, why is it, oh, like, there's a brand new CEO. Does that mean it's gonna be the end of the Disney live action remakes? Is the new CEO gonna stop these live action remakes? And to those people, I will say, they are not hiding the fact that they are desperately entitled. That they are so desperate to only think about their needs, and their needs alone, that they think that an entire multi-billion-dollar corporation, or any multi-billion-dollar corporations, should only listen to their demands. And I'm just gonna say no. Under Bob Chapek, there is no way that he is going to stop the Disney live action remakes. And if that's the first question that you would ask when they brought out a new Disney CEO, then you are desperately entitled. And you should probably reconsider and probably think about your behavior before anything else. Because the thing is, the Disney live action remake so far, love them or hate them, they have been making a lot of money. In fact, they have been so far some of the most successful movies in recent years. Why the fridge would Disney ever want to stop them? Because of just a bunch of a little vocal minority is not happy that the movie is not up to the same standards as the originals? No, they're not going to do that. People can complain all they want, but they still got their money nonetheless. So that ain't going to happen. So basically my big thing with Bob Chapek is the fact that with his new position as the CEO, it's more of a loss for creativity. It's more of a loss for taking risks. Like, yeah, he stated that, oh, we're a company that's proud of taking risks and all that kind of stuff. But I highly doubt that this is going to happen. But I will say this. Honestly, I can understand a little bit as to why Bob Iger would go and actually pick someone like Bob Chapek, because it's not necessarily in terms of like the creative side of things. It's not because like Bob Chapek is like a real risk taker or anything like that. The thing with Bob Iger is that he's more of a businessman than anything else, and he puts the business aspect of Disney much more importantly than the creative side of Disney. And what he sees in Bob Chapek is pretty much a little bit like him that can pretty much carry his legacy in order to maintain the business. And that's probably the most positive thing that I could say about Bob Chapek. Now, I'm not necessarily expecting Bob Chapek to be like Bob Iger in the way that he would go and like buy off so many different big properties for billions of dollars in order to create Disney into this giant conglomerate monopoly or anything like that. It's not really in that regard that Bob Chapek would necessarily be like Bob Iger. But what I'm expecting, like the best case scenario that Bob Chapek would do, is that he would maintain the company well. The fact that Bob Iger got these new acquisitions like Fox and created these new things like Disney Plus, and I'm sure Bob Chapek will do his best in order to maintain them well, in order to keep Disney at the top of the food chain in the entertainment industry. And on the business aspect, he will go and maintain things pretty well. That's at least what I am expecting from this. And on that regard, okay, I do understand that a man of business would want to go and get a man of business. But overall, what I'm saying is that what I'm expecting from Bob Chapek is basically a bit of the same thing as Bob Iger. Now, maybe you can use that as your own interpretations. You can think of, what that would mean for the Walt Disney Company. That is up to you. For me, I think business-wise, it's a great decision, and I'm sure he's going to do a great job. But in terms of the creative aspect, I think that's going to be a bit of a major loss, where we're pretty much going to be seeing the same thing as Bob Iger, where there's going to be so much more emphasis on existing IPs, and very little originality is actually going to be coming out. In fact, I think the only place where there is going to be originality is just going to be reserved for animation, and that's it, for both Disney and Pixar. And I know a lot of people are going to say, like, well, technically, even at that, there isn't much creativity anymore, and even they have become a bit more dependent on existing IPs, especially with Pixar being in a bit of a sequel binge, and even Disney is starting to go and release their own sequels like Ralph Breaks the Internet and Frozen 2. But I could go and actually argue that the main reason why we have those sequels in the first place, I would say it's mainly because of John Lasseter. And now that he has officially been kicked out of Disney, and now we got a new creative leadership under Jennifer Lee and Pete Docter, I think they're going to go and emphasize a lot more on originality, and they will go and do their best in order to deliver original content for the animation division. So I definitely trust them a lot more to deliver originality than I ever would with John Lasseter, to be honest. So that's basically what I'm expecting of all this. That's basically what I'm speculating. And by the way, keep in mind, I think that's one more thing that I feel like is highly important to go and note, is that all of what I am saying is nothing but speculation. This is just my thoughts on what I think is going to happen in the future. I'm not saying this as a fact. I could absolutely be wrong, and maybe Bob Chapek is going to be a lot more different than Bob Iger, and maybe Bob Chapek will definitely be a risk taker. Maybe Bob Chapek will emphasize more on originality, and we might see more original content, not just with Disney Animation and Pixar, but also with some live action films or Disney Plus content, or even at the parks. Who knows? But for now, like, I'm just judging based on like the past experience that Bob Chapek has been building, and I'm just basing his leadership at the Disney parks with how he could possibly run Disney as a whole. What I'm saying is that what we are experiencing is just the changing of the Bobs. I think that's basically what we have witnessed. It's just the changing of the Bobs, where we went from one Bob to another to lead Disney. And I'm not expecting all that much to go and change, but maybe I'm wrong, but we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe it's going to work out, maybe it's not, but hey, who knows? But with all that said, I think I've pretty much said my entire piece, and let us now go into the chat wall, and I would like to go and ask you all, what do you think about Bob Chapek as the new Disney CEO? Are there any aspirations that you guys might have with him as being the new boss of Disney? Do you think things will be different? Things will be the same? Are you excited with Bob Chapek as the new CEO? Are you guys not? Let me know what you all think. Okay. Let's see now. Just need to go and fix things up a little bit. Alright. But, anyways, where are we? Okay, here we go. This ought to be interesting. I've never been familiar with Bob Chapek compared to Iger, but looking at his history, we're in for a really bumpy ride. But regardless, good luck to Bob Chapek, and here's hoping the changes made are good. Also, apparently, this is the guy that got Club Penguin shut down. God have mercy. Yeah, that is actually true, considering that he's not just the leader of the Disney parks, but he was also in charge of, like, the consumer products as well. Oh, boy. So, it's going to be interesting. Like, I know that in terms of, like, what I've explained with his leadership at the parks, that's just the tip of the iceberg with Bob Chapek. I mean, keep in mind, like I said before, Bob Chapek has, like, 27 years of history at the Disney parks, so we'll see if things can probably work out or if things won't. Anyways, just need to fix things up. Okay. Let's see right over here. We got another one. Holy smokes, Iger is taking over. Oh no, well, not anymore. Hell no on my note. The era with Bob Iger has been pretty good in my opinion, but Bob Chapek taking over, come on, Disney, you could have picked someone else better. In terms of business, I could see potential. On the creative side, however, Disney's future films, in terms of the ones from Walt Disney Pictures and Disney Animation, is kind of doomed. Especially with Raya and The Last Dragon coming up soon, and even Pixar made a better choice of having Jennifer Lee and Pete take over the companies. Well, I mean, keep in mind with Raya and The Last Dragon, it's not like suddenly, oh, there's a new CEO and things are going to be totally different with that movie. I mean, like, I'm sure at this point, Disney is more than halfway done with Raya and The Last Dragon, or even like 3/4 of the way already finished. So I think it's a little too late to really make any much changes. Like, if anything, under Bob Chapek's leadership, I don't think anything is really going to be affecting much until, like, I would say by the second half of 2021, that's when we are going to be noticing, like, maybe more Bob Chapek influenced Bob Chapek influenced content, like movies and shows and stuff like that. All right. Let's see now. I'm sure Iger's departure is going to leave a lot of people yelling, yes, now we can destroy all these remakes, which I can't side with, even as someone who is not fond with the trend. As Channel Pup once said, YouTube shouldn't be used as a weapon against a person or a film. I wouldn't want another Disney Toon incident where so many people have lost their jobs and struggling to find future work. Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean by that. And that's exactly what I've been saying, that the people who only think about taking down the live action remakes, they are desperately entitled, that they only think about their needs and their needs alone, and delusionally believe that multi-billion-dollar companies should do what they say. And that's never gonna happen. And I mean, the thing is with these with all these live action remakes, there's some, like I said before, they're some of the most successful, they're some of the most successful movies of the year, and some of the most successful movie in recent years. And I mean, it's great for business. And you're talking about these guys who are more about the business aspect than anything. So it would be bad business to stop the live action remakes. It doesn't matter if you like them or hate them. The thing is, they're still going on because people are still buying tickets. People are still giving Disney their money to go see these movies. In fact, like the Lion King remake, I know a lot of people are giving a lot of hate and a lot of crap for it, but at the end of the day, it still made over, like, what, $1.65 billion at the box office? People bought into it. People went to see it. I will confess, I am guilty myself. I did actually buy a ticket to go see the movie. So, I mean, Disney ain't gonna stop it just because some whiny little angry fanboys. So that's the big thing with that. Let's see. I am excited for Bob Chapek being the next Disney CEO. I don't mind how Chapek or Iger is running the company. True, Iger has been doing a lot of remakes and sequels and less original films, but I don't mind as long as they're good. As for Bob Chapek, I'm happy as long as Chapek does more Frozen movies or make a TV series. I guess Disney really want the Bobs to take over the company. You see, that's exactly what I'm saying, is that, like, for me, what I've been doing here is just expressing my opinion and nothing more. Like, the big thing to emphasize is that how you would feel about this new CEO position really does depend about how you feel about Bob Iger as a CEO. And there are a lot of people who don't like Bob Iger, but there are also a good chunk of people that do like Bob Iger and do like the way that he is running the company. And as crazy as that sounds, like the things that Disney has been accused of being like a complete monopoly, yeah, people actually do like that. People like how Disney has been taking over stuff like Star Wars and Marvel especially, and how they are running them right now, like to make things get back to business with them. So that's the big thing that I just need to go and emphasize, that, like, I'm not insinuating as like a fact if it's a good or bad thing. It all depends on how you feel about Bob Iger, and that will say a lot about how you feel about Bob Chapek. Now, let's see. I'll just read a couple more, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. Let's see. When I heard about this news, I was like, oh god, really? Why'd they pick him? I'm not familiar with his work, including his time at the theme parks, but I do understand why everybody is not happy with him taking over as CEO. I've already gone with critical with Disney in terms of how they handled so far with IPs. Pete Docter, Jennifer Lee, and Kevin Feige are the only people I trust, so I don't expect to trust him if he's going to do the same thing as what Bob Iger does, except for buying properties. And also that's one thing I just need to go and emphasize. I think that's going to be the big difference between Bob Chapek and Bob Iger. And I know I've already said this, but I just need to go a little bit more into detail. I think the big difference between Chapek and Iger is that I don't see Chapek buying as much properties as Bob Iger, especially the fact that Disney still needs to pay off a little bit of their debts from their previous purchases, especially 21st Century Fox, which you got to keep in mind. Disney bought it for $72 billion. That's not going to be something that they could take care of overnight. That's going to be something that Disney will spend years in order to pay off all that money. So it's not just like, oh, there's a movie that made like $1 billion. Yeah, but that's just like a small fraction compared to how much they bought Fox. So it's going to take a lot of years. Maybe it will probably even take so much time that maybe the next CEO after Bob Chapek will still have to deal with that major purchase in order to pay off that debt. So it's because of that why I do not see the Disney company, they're going to go and make more big purchases. I think it's going to take a long, long time before we would see another big purchase coming from Disney. So I just want to go and emphasize on that. Let's see now. In all honesty, I do have some interest from one Bob to another. It's ironic the new CEO has the same name. To say this does not sound too bad. I get why you don't like it, and if we are not getting anything original anymore, but let's not jump into conclusions, and maybe it will be different than before. Besides, what's wrong with having unoriginal rides? They can be a blast just to be upon. Sometimes even literally in Star Wars case, and I'm sure they're not always going to rely on sequels and spin-offs. And you know what, dude? To be honest, you're right. I could be wrong on this one. And I mean, yeah, it is true. Like, yeah, many of the rides that we've gotten recently are unoriginal, but so far, when it comes to the new rides, I've heard nothing but amazing things. Say what you will about regarding if Galaxy's Edge was either successful or not, but honestly, I have heard nothing but amazing things regarding both Smuggler's Run and Rise of the Resistance. Like, the rides, the new Star Wars rides, apparently they are the latest and greatest things that did come out of Disney. So, again, I could be wrong. All that I did say are just speculations, so we'll just see how things will go with it. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but at the end of the day, I guess the only thing I could say is just best of luck for Bob Chapek as the new CEO. All right. Now that I've got that out of the way, let us now go and jump onto the next story that I have here, and we're going to be sticking a little bit with Disney. Like, as I said before, this is going to be a very Disney-centric episode. And with this one, we're going to be diving into some of Disney's controversies, some of the business decisions that they have made, and especially the way that they have seemed to be a little bit hypocritical, per se. And if you don't know what I mean, then let us go and discuss about the Love, Simon series and what happened to it. Now, the big thing to go and mention about the Love, Simon series is that apparently Disney has decided to not air it on Disney+. Apparently what's been happening is that you might be familiar, there is this new series called Love, Victor, which is based on the hit movie Love, Simon. And apparently they were preparing it and setting all this up to have it be released on Disney+. But that doesn't look like it's the case anymore. However, there is a little bit of a silver lining in this, whereas... Ooh, excuse me. Okay. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. But the thing is, with the Love, Simon series, is that there is a little bit of a silver lining, and it is not canceled, but rather it's going to be moving, where it's not going to be on Disney+, but instead, Disney decided to switch it onto its other streaming service that it does own, which is Hulu. And by the way, some people are saying, like, they're not necessarily that familiar with the Love, Simon series, so I'm just going to go and read a little section here, again coming from Variety, where it states here, for the, no, not this one, is it this one, or, yeah, okay, it's this one, sorry. It says, the show was originally set to air on Disney+, but will now launch on Hulu instead. In addition, it will now be titled Love, Victor. It will focus on Victor, played by Michael Cimino, a new student at Creekwood High School, the same high school as the movie, on his own journey of self-discovery, facing challenges at home, adjusting to a new city, and struggling with his sexual orientation. So, basically the whole thing, not just with Love, Victor, but Love, Simon in general, it's a movie and a series, or I guess you could pretty much say a whole franchise in general, that does go into LGBTQ+ themes. That's basically the big hook about Love Simon and now Love Victor. But you might be wondering, why is it that they decided to switch things up? Why is it that Disney decided to put this on Hulu instead of Disney Plus? And what's going to be happening with the future of Love Victor? Well, I shall go and tell you all about that here. As it states, the 10-episode first season will debut on Hulu in June, which is Pride Month, of course. According to an individual with knowledge on the situation, Hulu has opened a writer's room to begin fleshing out a potential second season. Really nice. Okay, so they see the potential that this could actually be a huge and successful series. But sources also note that Disney felt many issues exploring on the show, including alcohol use and sexual exploration, would not fit with the family-friendly content on Disney+. And I would just like to go and quickly add onto this that it's a major coincidence that this is not the first time that Disney took a series that is based on a movie, that is based on a book, and switch it up to go from Disney Plus to Hulu. Believe it or not, this actually did happen before. If you are familiar with Hulu, then you might have heard about a new show that was released called High Fidelity, which stars Zoe Kravitz. That was originally meant for Disney Plus, but they decided instead it would be more suiting for Hulu. Okay, now I know there is a lot to unpack in this, but you might be wondering, why is it that I specifically stated that it is hypocritical? Why did I use that vocabulary in order to describe this whole situation? Well, the thing is, it actually does relate to another big news that actually occurred with Disney. Maybe it didn't happen this week, like at the earliest, I think it broke out last week and stuff like that. But the big thing to go and mention is that you might have heard another news regarding their upcoming feature Onward, the next Pixar film. And apparently, the media decided to go big and crazy to go and emphasize that apparently there is this one character, this Cyclops, who is also a cop, that is stated to be one of Disney's first LGBT characters, and that was one major thing that people freaked out all over the internet, and something that Disney seems like they are taking pride in showing LGBT representation onto a Pixar movie now, and it's actually a character that has a voice and all that kind of stuff. They got a prominently gay Disney character. Yeah. Just like all the other times that you got prominently gay Disney characters like LeFou in the live-action Beauty and the Beast movie, or that couple that was that barely even got a second of a screen appearance in Finding Dory and stuff like that. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're definitely proud of your gay character, right, Disney? But my point is, what does that have to do with the whole Love Simon situation here, with the Love Simon series? Well, you could see the hypocrisy where on one side, it looks like Disney is taking major pride of the fact that they have an LGBT character in their movie that they could proudly display on the big screen and stuff like that. But at the same time, the fact that they got an entire TV show that dives deeply into LGBT themes, and they feel like, oh, that's not family friendly enough for Disney Plus, so they gotta switch things up to Hulu. I mean, come on, Disney. Do you support the LGBT community, or do you not? You gotta pick a side, and you cannot do both, because this is why I say there is a massive hypocrisy. You can't say one thing and then suddenly you gotta do another. Actions speak way louder than words, and especially the fact that even though even though very few people have seen Onward at this point, because the only way you would do so at this point would be just like an advanced screening and that's it. The thing is with Onward is that you can already tell that with this minor character, yeah, maybe this character might be gay, but that doesn't mean we will see much gay scenes with that character. It's just a throwaway fact that I'm sure it will go through many people's heads, just like what we have seen with LeFou in Beauty and the Beast. It's all just like you're doing that for marketing purposes. Like, okay, maybe it would be a big deal if maybe Tom Holland's character turns out to actually be gay. Then that would actually be a big deal. But the fact that we would have this random cop character that not many people paid much attention to, and that you barely even you didn't even show much of her like in any of the trailers. Like, this is the first time we've heard much about this Cyclops cop before. Like, you know for a fact that, like, she's barely gonna have much of a gay moment, or if she's gonna have much of a significance onto the feature, and that's pretty much it. It's gonna be something that will go through many people's heads. And the thing is with this, is that it really does show of the way that a company like Disney would kind of, like, it's not just hypocritical, but the fact that it's really questionable if they really do support or represent these communities, if they support these causes like the LGBT community. Like, are they true supporters? Now, the thing with Disney is that they take massive pride in presenting themselves as a very progressive company, that they really do care about social issues and try to help out and emphasize them hard in order to attach them onto their storytellings. You know, stuff like, like we do see a lot of feminism, like a lot of female empowerment, and sometimes, like, they want to take pride that they support the LGBT community, which is why at the parks you would see a lot of Pride Days, and how Disney is slowly but surely trying to open up, adding in LGBT characters and stuff like that, but not really. But the big problem here is that with these contrasting actions that we have seen, it feels like, it really feels like Disney is only supporting these causes because they're profitable. It's honestly really questionable if they actually do support LGBT themes, if they support LGBT communities, if they support LGBT rights. I think that's the big thing. Because if they actually do support it, if they're not afraid to confront the homophobes, like, if they're not afraid to sacrifice the homophobes' money in order to present LGBT-themed stories, then at that point, they would have no problem associating the LGBT community with Disney. They would have no trouble with it. Like, for some reason, they seem to be so afraid to have this series be attached to the Disney brand, that it's because of the alcohol use and sexual exploitation. And I'm just gonna say this right now, that honestly, the reason why they have to go and reject Love Victor from Disney Plus, like the reason of the alcohol use and the sexual exploration thing and stuff like that, that is honestly a load of crap. I would even go as far and say that this is a flat-out lie coming from Disney. And I have one perfect example to show you this, to tell you about this. And the reason why, it is because of The Simpsons. Now, you guys know very well, The Simpsons is one of the biggest selling points of Disney Plus. That one of the biggest reasons why people wanted to get Disney Plus in the first place is because it is the official streaming service and almost exclusive streaming service home of The Simpsons, where you can watch every single episode from their very beginning with The Simpsons roast on an open fire all the way up to today's episodes. They got it all, or at least almost all. And the thing is, they got a whole bunch of the reasons why they would have, like, the reasons why they wouldn't allow Love Victor to be on Disney Plus. You know, there's not just one, but you know there are several episodes that do emphasize and really talk about sexual exploration. In fact, Smithers is a gay character, and we all know that long before it was officially announced. I know for a fact that there are a handful of gay characters that are highly prominent on The Simpsons. And also another comment, the dumbest thing that I've heard, alcohol use. Really? You can't put Loving Victor in Disney Plus because of alcohol use? Homer Simpson is one of the most famous drunks in the field of entertainment, in anything, not just of television, but in all of entertainment, in entertainment history. And yet, with Love Victor, because they drink alcohol as well, you can't put it in. That honestly makes no sense. Okay, then again, I can understand that there are people out there that would argue that technically with the alcohol use, that is more, like, it's not just alcohol use, but rather underage drinking, because with Love Victor, it is set in a high school, and probably it will touch into the subject matter of underage drinking and stuff like that, and that is much more of a serious issue than alcohol use. Okay, that is understandable. That can be, okay, so I get it. There is that argument. But do you not think that The Simpsons has already covered that? I'm sure there's probably a few episodes in The Simpsons where not only do they talk about underage drinking, but I'm sure there are plenty of episodes that do feature underage drinking, not necessarily as a theme, but as a gag. That they would feature underage drinking just as some kind of joke, and that's it. And yet they proudly display that on Disney Plus. But apparently that's not necessarily a good thing when you're trying to do something like Love, Simon. It's honestly ridiculous. And no, for me, I'm not buying any of these explanations. I'm not, like, I don't think this is something that's like a legitimate reason. No, it's because the show is gay and Disney is too cowardly to put it up on Disney Plus because they don't really want to associate LGBT rights with the Disney brand. So they want to play it safe and they just want to put it on Hulu where they could be free to put in their adult content and, like, for the most part, casual viewers and, you know, like regular people who don't really have that much knowledge on the business side of things with streaming services, for people who don't know that Hulu is owned by Disney, like, they could just safely put it onto that streaming service, and that's pretty much it. Now, it's not, I understand it's not necessarily that big of an issue because the Love Victor is still gonna be happening. It is still gonna be premiering on Hulu. It's still like people are still gonna get it no matter what. So it's not that bad. It could have been worse. Like, Disney could have canceled it. That is true. But overall, this really does emphasize the hypocrisy of big companies like Disney when it comes to serious issues, when it comes to serious social issues like LGBT rights. It's stuff like this that really does question if they truly do support it or if they're only supporting it for money purposes, that they just want to go and capitalize it, and they'll say it, but only up to a certain extent. They'll say that they do support it, but they don't want to say it too much because saying loud and proud that you support LGBT rights, that all LGBT rights like trans rights, gay rights, lesbian rights, bi rights, and all that kind of stuff, that if you say that too much, then it's not as profitable as much as keeping your mouth shut and stuff like that. So that's the big thing. And keep in mind, one thing I would like to emphasize though, and this is something that I will be repeating in this episode, that it's not just Disney that's like that. Like, I would accuse all the other major studios of the exact same thing. It's not just Disney with that kind of mentality. I would also accuse Warner Brothers, Universal, Sony, Paramount, Lionsgate. All those big major studios, they are guilty of the same thing, of pretending to fully support social issues, but not to a certain extent. That it's questionable if they truly do believe it, or if they're only doing it because it's profitable nowadays. So that's the thing. Like, honestly, like, as I said before, it's not that bad because, like, it's still gonna be happening. The series will still go on. You know, fans are still gonna be receiving the series. But honestly, it feels really hypocritical and really questionable of Disney to know if they truly do support LGBT rights or if they're just doing it in order to cash in on, to pretty much capitalize on it. Like, if they truly do support it or they're just doing it for the money. That's kind of the big question. It's a very, it's a big morality question when it comes to these big companies, and that's why it always seems very doubtful, very questionable whenever they would go and do these things. What I'm saying is that it's not a bad thing that they would do these things, because of course they with these minority groups like LGBT, like the LGBT community, people of color, women, and like other religious groups like Muslims, Jews, and all that and all those people. Like, they will need all the help they can get. If a big studio is willing to help out, then, or a big company is willing to help out, then they'll take all the help they can get. They'll be more than happy to accept it. But it's just the intentions that we would want to go and question. Is that while the help is always great, is the intentions to actually go and help these people out? Or is it to go and try to capitalize off of them? That is the real question of all this. So, with all that said, I would like to go and go into the chat wall, and I would like to go and ask, what do you all think about, what do you think about the whole situation with the Love Victor series, or the Love Simon series that's often been referred to? Are you guys excited that it's still going to be happening? If you are a fan of Love Simon and you are excited of Love Victor, I would love to know from you the most, how do you feel about this whole situation that it's moving from Disney Plus to Hulu? And what do you all think about the whole situation? Because honestly, I think I ended up making this a lot more complex than it seems. All right. Let's see. I already see one problem. I think all this is an example of Disney being too PC these days. Well, that's the thing, is that it's not really the fact that they are PC. It's not the fact that they are being politically correct. It's more the fact that we question if they really are politically correct or not. Because the thing is, if you're pretending to be PC, but only for the sake of being, but only for the purpose of capitalizing on PC culture, then that's not being PC. That's the big thing from this. Disney is not, if Disney truly is being politically correct, then they would allow to have a show like Love Simon, or Love Victor in this case, to be on Disney Plus to show that Disney is a strong supporter of LGBT rights. But because they don't want to go and associate their brand with LGBT rights entirely, then they're just going to go and try to sneak it onto somewhere else. Again, it's not that bad, but that's the thing, is that I question if this is the kind of thing, if Disney is legitimately politically correct. All right. But anyway, so let's go and jump on to the next story. Oh yeah. Here's another example. There was one scene from Star Wars Episode 3 where the children died in the film. Yes, that is actually true. And I mean, some people could debate, well, technically, they didn't fully show the kids dying, or they don't show Anakin doing these actions. But that's another example. The fact that we do actually have a movie like Revenge of the Sith, where they would go and show the main character of it all actually killing children. Apparently that's okay to put on Disney Plus, but sexual exploration, but stuff like sexual exploration, that's too far for Disney Plus? I mean, come on, get your priorities straight, Disney. Let's see. The fact this is reviewed because of alcohol usage and its reputation of slapping LGBT characters into the background of their movies, I immediately call bull honky. In fact, what else is on Disney Plus? The Simpsons movie, which dedicates a good few seconds of showing Bart's Johnson, but alcohol, that's a major no-no for some reason. even the whole family-friendly thing doesn't make a lick of sense because we have Blubs and Durland from Gravity Falls, a kids show also on Disney Plus. I know, man. You can go. There's like tons of examples that you could find on Disney Plus that there are much worse things than alcohol usage in general and something like sexual exploration. There are things that are far worse that's already on Disney Plus. So it's kind of a weak excuse to not fully put it onto Disney Plus. Let's see now. Yikes. I feel like the South Park episode about China is becoming more and more true every day. In fact, the big reason that Disney doesn't do anything big LGBT representation is because of China, which is so notoriously homophobic that they would sentence writers for jail time for just writing homoerotic novels. China is a huge market that Disney wants to have access to, and the unfortunate cost of any major LGBT representation. Exactly. Like that, and like that's a key factor as to why Disney isn't fully coming out as LGBT, because there are some major countries, especially China, that are absolutely homophobic, that they don't want to allow showing LGBT representations in movies and stuff like that. That's why we would have movie, that's why in stuff like Onward, there are a lot of people that do call out like what they're trying to do with the gay Cyclops cop or whatever, that it's just going to be a random background character. She'll have her she'll have her moments on screen, but if there are any moments that do show legit LGBT representation, then they'll just edit it out for international releases. They'll just change things up so that they'll hide the gay from the big evil company, the big governments and stuff like that. That's the thing. It's mainly because they want to try to sell it as globally as possible, and unfortunately, there are some countries that are not progressive enough, or they're not diverse enough to show that to discuss about LGBT characters, and that's why it is a major problem. It's not it's not just because of like, just to anger a few homophobes. There are countries that are entirely homophobic, and honestly, the issue is far bigger than you can imagine. Like, sometimes the companies like Disney, they just got to do what they got to do, and that's part of why they got to hold back their that's why they got to hold back their how can I put this? Hold back their not their true feelings, but that's why they got to hold back in helping out social issues like LGBT representation and LGBT rights. That's why they got to fully hold it back so that they don't anger other major markets. Money is king in this, man. Sometimes companies at the end of the day, they value money more than anything else. Let's see now. Funny, cause Steven Universe and Legend of Korra are more open to LGBT themes in their respective channels than Disney with Love Victor. This kind of proves why Disney does like to take risks once in a while. They want to be safe for a variety of people. Knowing the fact that I am living in a country where you can be arrested for being gay, I doubt I can ever see this show. It'll probably take centuries or millenniums before every country around the world is A-okay with the LGBTQ community. And sadly, I think, this comment actually does have a point. It's going to take a long, long time. It's going to take several lifetimes, like long after we're all dead. Like, it's going to take a long time for LGBT representation to be equally accepted. It's going to be an ongoing fight no matter what. But we still have to keep fighting in order to make sure that we're always one step ahead from where we were before. It's a slow progression, but we still have to do that progression nonetheless. Let's see now. I do feel this is very hypocritical for Disney to do this. If Disney is not after of showing Homer drinking, then what's the excuse? And it just makes me question if Disney wants to support the LGBT community, or they don't do it, or they only do it for attention. Exactly, man. That's always the big question. And, all right, I think we'll go and read one more comment before we're going to jump onto the next story, which I'll go, oh, here we go. It's weird, it's weird for that consideration, despite that in their television shows and some recent movies, they really have those moments and characters, like Star vs. Foe with the characters Jackie Lynn Thomas, Gravity Falls with the police officers, Andy Mack as well. Even in the recent Star Wars movies did show at the ending of the film. To say that it isn't the first time they've ever shown that. But the thing is that, yeah, there are like, in terms of Disney, yeah, they do have legit gay characters in the past, but only little by little. Like, the ending, like, that ending that you mentioned in the last Star Wars film, like, that was, like, what, just a second or two, and that's pretty much it? That's not much. And even with some of the gay characters, like people often mention about the police officers in Gravity Falls. Like, yeah, you could interpret them as a gay couple, and I think Alex Hirsch himself stated that they are indeed a gay couple, but never in the actual show itself do we actually see that, or did it actually just literally spell it out that they are indeed gay. It's something that's always insinuated, but never something that fully came out. It's more like like, in a way you could say that the closet is open, but but these characters didn't fully come out of it. It's basically the big thing to go and emphasize. And someone even states, like, oh, the gay days at the Disney parks. I even did say, yeah, I know, I did say that, but, like, that only like, I know that, like, there are those gay days, but does that really justify Disney saying that they fully support gay rights and stuff? Like, yeah, it's great that they do have the gay days, but is it really enough for Disney to go and support LGBT rights? But anyways, all right, now we got that one out of the way. I know it's a pretty complex discussion, a lot more than I expected, actually. But now we're going to go and jump onto the next story. And unfortunately, we're actually going to go and get into the same thing, actually. We're going to have another similar type of discussion. And yes, we're going to be talking about Disney once again in this kind of scenario. And what we will be discussing about will be regarding Li Shang. Yes, this all came from this article from The Collider, where they had a little bit of a discussion with Jason Reed, discussing about why is it that in the upcoming remake of Mulan, they have to remove the character Li Shang. Now, if you guys are not familiar with Li Shang, if you're not familiar with the original 1998 animated film, 1998 animated film of Mulan, I apologize for that mistake. The thing with Li Shang is that he is a very prominent character. In fact, he's one of the more main characters, almost alongside Mulan. Li Shang, he's like the captain of his team, and he's kind of like the new general to go and take the helm. And he's the one that's pretty much in charge of his army to go and go after the Huns and stuff like that. And from there, he would be training his army, especially with Mulan. And, like, they got to keep on fighting in order to ensure that, you know, they become stronger and stronger. And eventually, right at the end, he starts to become a love interest for Mulan, that he's like, after he realized, Mulan, apparently that guy is actually a girl, and apparently she ended up saving all of China, which then he started to develop some feelings for her. But apparently, yes, in the Mulan remake, Li Shang is not going to be appearing in the film. In fact, they are actually going to be splitting Li Shang into two different characters. And from here, I'm going to go and read a little bit from my source here on Collider on what Jason Reed has stated. And it says here, we split Li Shang into two characters. One became Commander Tung, played by Donnie Yen, who serves as her surrogate father and mentor in the course of the movie. The other is Hong Hui, who is Mulan's equal in the squad. And from there, Jason Reed would go and explain a little bit more onto the character Hong Hui. and would go and describe how Hong Hui is going to play a significant role in the feature. Like, just to read you a little bit here, like, the way that Jason Reed describes Hong Hui, they start off on the wrong foot, really. As they progress through the training together, they kind of have an unspoken bond about it because they recognize each other's warrior spirit. That's how they kind of build their friendship up to begin with, though through the training and acknowledge each other. And from there, they also, apparently the producer also went and explained a little bit as to why they cannot add a character like Li Shang. Why they cannot fully add Li Shang onto the Mulan remake. And the reason why is because apparently they were inspired by the hashtag MeToo movement. I wish I was making that up, but it says here... I think in particularly in the time of the hashtag MeToo movement, having a commanding officer that is also the sexual love interest was very uncomfortable, and we didn't think it was appropriate. So apparently the hashtag MeToo movement is what's holding you back from adding in Li Shang. Li Shang. Boy! Where the fridge do I begin with this? Like, okay, let's start off by talking about the animated film in itself. Let's talk about the context of Li Shang. Because the thing is, yes, a lot of people do view Li Shang as Mulan's love interest. That eventually the two do eventually fall in love. But that does not happen until, like, the very, very end. In fact, like, probably the spark did not officially start until Mulan officially saved all of China and literally blew up the villain with fireworks. I think that's the time when things are initiated. But throughout the whole time with Li Shang and Mulan's relationship, especially before he knew that Mulan was a girl, like, it was full-on platonic. Li Shang did not have any sexual interest in Mulan whatsoever. But, like, yeah, it is true that he was keeping an eye on he was keeping an eye on her. And I understand that nowadays, like, it even says in this article here that Li Shang kind of became a bit of a a bit of an LGBT icon, that he became a bi icon, that he is both interested in girls and guys. But the thing is that he has been very, very respectful throughout the entire film, that, you know, he wasn't interested in sex whatsoever. He wasn't interested in, like, body parts or anything like that. In terms of that regard, he has been very respectful throughout the entire feature. He has, he's a well-developed character on his own, that he just has his own goals. He wants to move forward with his mission to go and, bring honor to his family in order to make his dad proud, in order to, to get a higher rank in the army and stuff like that. He has his own aspirations and his own goals. It wasn't until at the very end where he gets interested in Mulan, and even at that, it was kind of a very subtle thing. It was kind of like a bit of a shy guy kind of move where, he goes to Mulan's place and he would go and say, like, "Oh, hey Mulan, how's it going? Hey, yeah, that was pretty cool what you did. Hey, do you want to go out sometime?" It's mostly like that. And I mean, considering that we are talking about Mulan, I can think of a handful of characters that are much more freaking hornier than freaking Li Shang. In fact, if there has to be a character that we gotta call the hashtag MeToo movement on, I would say is Grandmother Fa. That grandma is thirsty as F. If you rewatch the end of Mulan, you will see that the grandmother, oh boy, she is pretty horny for freaking Li Shang. If you don't believe me, rewatch the film and you will see for yourself about what I am talking about. But yeah, with Li Shang, there is no, this guy is a respectable dude. This is the kind of guy that people would want to go and marry. Like, this is a guy that, this is one of the last people that you would legit go and call on the hashtag MeToo movement. But with that said, it is also absolutely ridiculous that producer Jason Lee would go and use the hashtag MeToo movement as an excuse to take out Li Shang. Because the thing is, when it comes to the Mulan remake, you can literally use any other excuse. You could say anything else in terms of the context of the movie and we would buy it. Because we know for a fact that this Mulan remake, even though it's not out yet, we know, judging by the trailers, that it's going to be completely different from the animated film, that they're going to take an entirely different direction. And if the trailers don't prove you that, then the PG-13 probably will. And they're doing something completely different, and they want to stay a little bit more true, not to the animated film, but more towards the legend that this is all based on the Ballad of Hua Mulan. That, you can use the excuse that in terms of the narrative that you want to take the movie on a brand new direction, and with Li Shang, you got to be like Mushu, and you got to make some sacrifices with a few characters. Or you want to say that you want to be more respectable to the original source material, and that's why you can't really add him in, because that's more of a Disney animation thing that they would want to do. You can use those excuses, and you can get away with it. But I don't know why Jason Lee had to state this. Maybe it's to go and give Disney some brownie points to say that they support the hashtag MeToo movement. But this is ridiculous. You're just saying, this is literally saying that, because of the hashtag MeToo movement, we can't really add a love interest because love insinuates sexual harassment and all that stuff, which is, it could not be further from the truth. It's ridiculous. I don't know what else to say, but this just feels absolutely ridiculous and such a terrible way of using the hashtag MeToo movement. And also, very, very poor timing as well. This is something else that I really need to add because, as you probably know, this week, it was a major victory for the hashtag MeToo movement. As you guys probably heard, Harvey Weinstein has been announced that he was guilty for many of the crimes of sexual harassment and full-on sexual assault that he has done to many or at least some of the women that have accused him of sexual harassment and sexual assault. I mean, Harvey Weinstein is the reason why we have the hashtag MeToo movement. And I think it's stated that he would be serving, we don't have the official sentence as of yet, but it is confirmed that he will be sentencing around 5 to 25 years in prison. And that's just on the New York court case alone. I think he does have several others as well. And the thing is that this is a major victory for the hashtag MeToo movement. And then you would pull something like this off, and honestly, it kind of turns them back into some kind of joke, because you know that you got these right-wing nutcases that have a passionate hatred for the hashtag MeToo movement, and 95% of them is because of their own misogyny. And from there, they would try to use anything. They are desperate to try to take down the hashtag MeToo movement. And because of something like this, because of this poor use of the hashtag MeToo movement, then at that point, you know these people are going to be grifting and exploiting the living crap out of this in order to fuel the hatred and antagonizing onto the hashtag MeToo movement. It's ridiculous. I don't know why they have to pull that off. Maybe Disney commanded Jason Reed to go and say this, but or maybe it's just Jason Reed himself being absolutely stupid and throwing this pointless comment out of nowhere. But honestly, this is not the right thing to do. There are times when you need to call on the hashtag MeToo movement, but this is not it. Really, that's kind of the biggest problem with the hashtag MeToo movement, is that there are some people that don't know how to use it or when it's the right time to actually go and use it. And that's why there are and that's why you would often find that there are people that are divided on this subject matter. it's not really the movement itself that's the real problem. It's the people that would often use it. And there are a lot of them that use it the wrong way, or sometimes for their own narcissistic reasons. And especially in the case of Disney, it feels like if the case is like, there is no confirmation that if this really is Disney that told Jason Reed to go and say this, but if it really is Disney that commanded him to say that, then it just feels like they want to get brownie points to say that they fully support the hashtag MeToo movement, but in reality, they just want to do it for brownie points and for profitability purposes. Again, like, this all ties back to the previous story that I talked about with the Love, Simon series, where, like, this is again another example of when it's really questionable that companies would go and support these social issues like LGBT rights, or in this case the hashtag MeToo movement. It's questionable if they really do support it because they truly do feel like it's the right thing to do, or if it's just to do it for profitability purposes. And actually, I do have one major example that I do want to bring in, because again, I want to emphasize the fact that this is not just Disney. All the other major studios are equally guilty of this as well. And one great example that I do have is with Sony Pictures. Now, I know some people might say, oh, AniMat's gonna be bashing Sony Pictures again, but like, actually hear me out. Like, instead of making dumb comments, like, actually hear me out on this. Because as you guys probably know, Sony Pictures seems to be very interested in making feminist movies, like really a lot of pro-female empowerment feature films, and a lot of them are also attached to some of their major franchises that they do own. And we know there are plenty of examples that they're still doing some to this day. Like, we know that there are movies like the 2016 Ghostbusters. There's a little bit of that for Men in Black International. Like, it's like kind of like half a point there. But then there's also like the Charlie's Angels reboot that we recently got, and also Little Women as well. That is from Sony Pictures too. But the thing is, with all these movies, like with Sony on a major pro-feminism binge, like, it does make you wonder that, is Sony Pictures really a pro-feminist company that they truly believe in women's rights and stuff like that? Or, oh, excuse me, let's see now. The thing is, like, do they support women's rights? Or are they just doing it because it's the profitable thing to do? That they see other companies like Disney that are really cashing it big on having female empowerment or feminism themes onto their movies, so they want to have their piece of the pie as well. That's the big thing we do have to question. And honestly, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, for me, I just feel like this whole reasoning of, like, going back into this story, this whole reasoning of having Li Shang removed from the movie because of the hashtag MeToo movement, I just find it to be ridiculous. I'm not upset because they remove Li Shang from the movie. Like, they can have their own reasons, that's fine, but have the reasons be legitimate. It doesn't have to tie in with a recent social issue. It doesn't have to be related to the hashtag MeToo movement or our current political climate or anything like that. You could just stick to the narrative of the story. You can make your excuse related to the story, and that would be perfectly fine, but I just feel like, honestly, this addition is just, it's stupid. Like, I don't know why Jason Reed would have to go and say this. It's just, it's ridiculous. Now, maybe it's Jason Reed himself, or maybe it's Disney that actually does believe that, but either way, I just feel like it's really dumb. All right. Anyways, let's go and move on to the comment, to go into the chat wall now. And I would like to pass on to you guys about, how do you feel regarding the reason why they have to remove Li Shang onto the Mulan remake? Do you feel like Disney will go well even without Li Shang in the movie? Do you agree with Disney for the reasoning why they got to take him out? Do you not? Let me know what you all think. Okay. Let's see. I have a feeling that this whole thing is a publicity stunt. Like, pretty sure they're just saying this to encourage people like the hashtag MeToo movement and the haters who love to rant dumb things to watch the movie. Oh boy. Dude. You know, the thing is that you can't just come into the chat wall and write down such hard truths like that. Like, you can't just come in and just, like, hit us hard with a massive hard truth. Like, that kind of physically hurts, dude. But you know what? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that. And that is another major indicator of how big studios, like, rather if they actually do care about these movements or if they're just doing it for publicity purposes. Like, if they just want to pull stupid if they want to pull stupid stunts like that just for the sake of publicity, just to have people talking, then honestly, that is a major indicator that they actually don't care about these movements whatsoever. So this comment could actually be perfectly right about this, that maybe all this is like Jason Reed had to say that for the sake of having a publicity stunt. And maybe, like, I know I said before, like, the timing is stupid, but maybe the timing is perfect to say that, especially with what happened to Harvey Weinstein and his bullcrap walker. And by the way, just, I apologize if I'm going, like, a bit off track on this, but I just need to comment on this. Like, is anybody here sick and tired of seeing the news about Harvey Weinstein, like, with his sexual allegations, and always showing that stupid clip of him coming in and coming out of court with that stupid bullcrap walker? We know for a fact you ain't frickin', we know you don't have any physical problems, dude. We know that thing is so freaking fake, man. So enough with that dang walker. Like, I need to make a request for the Razzie Awards. Can we change things up and add an extra nomination for, like, the worst couple or something like that for Harvey Weinstein and his dang stupid walker? Because we know that's all bullcrap. We know that thing is entirely freaking fake, man. Enough with your damn walker. Okay, I apologize for that for that little rant, but honestly, it's just I just need to let that out because finally he's in jail and finally he can no longer pull that stupid bullcrap act of going like, the hashtag MeToo movement is worse than the coronavirus. Look what it has done to me. Yeah, bullcrap, man. Okay, anyways, I apologize for that. Let me go and move on to the next thing. With all the controversy regarding the film, with this and the words of the leading actress, I get less and less excited for it. This whole article gives off the impression that the producers haven't even seen the original film, since the whole love element didn't kick in until the ending, and it was Mulan who invited Li to dinner. I was indifferent to this film at first, but now I'm just gonna stick to Peter Rabbit 2. I never thought I would say that. You sure you want to do Peter Rabbit 2, dude? I mean, really? Are you sure there's nothing else, man? Like, are you sure there's nothing else that's gonna be coming out in April or at the end of March? I mean, even at that, like, maybe Onward again, or I don't know. You sure you want to do Peter Rabbit 2 again? Like, I mean, I don't blame you if you don't want to see Mulan, but I'm sure there are better alternatives than freaking Peter Rabbit 2, dude. It's like, come on. Anyways, let's see. If everybody followed the quote, the entire human race would become extinct. You don't have to include a love interest when making a movie, but this is not how you represent that. Let me guess, must we remake Beauty and the Beast and make sure they don't fall in love and are just friends? I mean, that film had Stockholm Syndrome. No, it doesn't. Anyways, would that go against the hashtag MeToo movement? I mean, can't they change Li Shang instead of removing him? Geez, Harvey Weinstein, you spawned a new monster. Yeah, also, I just would like to say, I would not be opposed to remaking Beauty and the Beast if it means, like, not because of any of the love thing or any of the, like, the political things or the social justice things. Like, just remake it just so it can be good. actually have good actors involved, actually have good CGI involved. If they could do it for that, then I would be perfectly okay with. Okay, I'm gonna go and move on to one more comment before we're gonna jump onto the next story. Let's see here. First, you remove the songs, then you remove Mushu. Then Mulan's actor showed her support for China's police brutality, and now you remove Li Shang because of the hashtag MeToo movement. This seals it. I can imagine a lot of people deciding not to watch this movie because of all these controversies, and you can count me in. To quote Mushu, "Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow." Yeah, and that's kind of the awkward thing when it comes to the Mulan remake, is that it doesn't need any more controversies on top of that. It already has enough trouble as it is, especially with the controversy that's happening in China, especially with the comments from the leading actress, especially the fact that apparently its box office performance might not be as well because of the coronavirus. There's too much trouble with this movie already, and it hasn't even been out yet. It's going to be coming out in a month, but already it's been in major trouble. Oh boy. All right, and I think I am spent with this story. Okay, I think now we can all be settled with all these controversies. I think we can be good with that. And now let's go and try to move on in something that's a little bit more lighthearted, something that we can look forward a little bit more towards. But in order to go and express that, I would like to go and give you some good news and bad news. It's a little bit of like these things, but you'll see that there is a little bit of potential for this, even with some sacrifices. And what I'm saying is going to be regarding the story of Indiana Jones. Now, the bad news is that unfortunately, it has been revealed that Steven Spielberg will no longer be directing the 5th Indiana Jones movie. Apparently the film is still in the works, but now it looks like Steven Spielberg will not be involved. But he's not going to be uninvolved entirely. It's not like he walked out of the whole project as a whole. He's still going to stay there, and he is still going to be involved as a producer. In fact, once again on my source here on Variety, it states, it says right here, Spielberg will remain as a hands-on producer on Indy 5. According to a source close to the filmmaker, the decision to leave the director's chair was entirely Spielberg's, in a desire to pass along Indy's whip to a new generation to bring their perspective to the story. Okay, well, it's kind of sad that this tradition is going to be over. So, what's the good news, though? What is the good news of this? Well, apparently, it's that right now they are in talks with another potential director, and this guy is quite legit for the job. And who I'm talking about is James Mangold. And right now, nothing is official as of yet, but currently, James Mangold is in talks with Disney, with Steven Spielberg, and with Lucasfilms in order to be possibly the next director of the next Indiana Jones film. And the thing with James Mangold, if you are not familiar with him, already he has become a major rising star in the Hollywood scene, especially with his 2 recent films, or his 2 latest films, where he has made quite an impact so far. The latest one that he came out with is Ford vs. Ferrari, which that film was highly praised by critics and has won 2 Oscars for Best Editing and Sound Editing. And on top of that, he is also the director. The movie before that is something that I'm sure you are all familiar with, is the 2017 movie Logan, which is stated to be the grand finale of Hugh Jackman's performance as Wolverine for the X-Men franchise, which that is also a film that is massively praised by critics, was a huge success at the box office. And James Mangold himself even got a nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay. So that's the big thing that is currently going on with the future of Indiana Jones. And yes, by the way, I forgot to mention that this is a bit of a bonus miscellaneous, even though it's not animation related. I feel like it is very fascinating to go and talk about. And I mean, I do understand that it is a little bit sad to see that Steven Spielberg is no longer going to be directing, because there is that, there is that tradition that's been going on. And I do understand that there's been a lot of complications with the fifth Indiana Jones film, because I believe it was like, I think it said here even that it was like way back in 2016 when Disney first announced that they wanted to make a fifth Indiana Jones film, and that they would bring back the original people involved. That Harrison Ford is still going to be Indiana Jones, that Steven Spielberg is still going to be involved, especially as a director, but nowadays, though, it seems like things are going to be a lot more complicated. That Steven Spielberg left the director's chair, and the thing is, you guys may have forgotten, but originally, Indiana Jones 5 was supposed to be released during the summer of last year. The original release date was for the summer of 2019, but that did not happen, and from there, we just see delay after delay after delay. But now it looks like it ain't gonna happen, and I guess things just got a little too complicated, where not even Spielberg was able to just actually sit down and actually get to work on this project. And I mean, it's sad to see him go, but now with the prospects of having James Mangold involved, holy crap, this guy is more than enough to actually come in and, this guy... sorry, I kind of got a little bit distracted by the thing here. It's just, I got a feeling some people might be a bit trolling in this scenario. Alright, anyways. Alright, going back to what I was talking about. So, in here, the thing with James Mangold, he is more than enough to be qualified to work on this project, especially when you look at Logan, because this is exactly the kind of thing that you are looking for in a director when it comes to like bringing back old franchises. And the thing with Indiana Jones, yeah, like with the fifth movie that's going to be coming out, it would technically go and count as a reboot, because with Indiana Jones 5, it's been quite a long time since the last movie that we've gotten. I think like with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull has been since 2008. It's been more than 10 years that we have received that movie. So in a way, like, the new film will kind of be like a reboot in the sense, and you would technically need a new director to bring a fresh new vision onto something like that. And with James Mangold, like, he definitely more than proved that with Logan, where he took a character that many people are familiar with, especially when it's played by an actor who's been playing that character for like decades at that point, or almost 2 decades, and it was at the point where you want to make like a proper send-off to the actor playing that character. And with what he created with Logan, I would go as far and say that he has created a revolutionary feature, because Logan is not your typical superhero movie. In fact, I wouldn't necessarily say Logan is a superhero movie. Some people have stated that it is more like, how can I put this? Like, the movie is so much like a Western. I think that's the genre that a lot of people have compared it to, where the Logan is this Western in which it really went far and really revolutionized the way that people see superhero movies, where it doesn't have to be stuck to this one formula, that it can grow into something else. And that's why nowadays we do see more movies that are based on comic book properties that are trying out something new, something more different. Like, we're going to see that in the future when New Mutants are going to be coming out. That's going to be more of a horror-themed X-Men movie. Or another great example, Joker. That's a film where it is not a superhero movie, but more of a Martin Scorsese style film, and it turned out to be a massive hit. It turned out to be the most successful DC film since The Dark Knight. And it was one movie that really got a lot of people talking, and it's all thanks to a movie like Logan that helped inspire that, where it's a film in which James Mangold took the familiar and make it feel fresh, make it feel new. And I think that's exactly what we would need for the fifth Indiana Jones film, for some familiarity, but at the same time for something new, especially when we do have when we do have Harrison Ford coming back as Indiana Jones. Like, he's not going to play the role forever. In fact, that's actually one thing I could say that is completely understandable as to why Steven Spielberg decided to leave the director's chair. Like, the more you think about it, the more that it actually does make sense. Because he knows for a fact that in this current movie climate, that in this climate of filmmaking and cinema, that no matter what, they are going to keep on cranking franchises for as long as possible, even long after the original actors and the original filmmakers are gone. And Steven Spielberg knows that Lucasfilms will keep on making Indiana Jones films after he passes away and after Harrison Ford passes away. Which is why he decided sooner than later to go and step down as a director in order to give more room for others to bring out their voice onto the picture. Like, say what you will, it's a little bit like the new Star Wars movies right now. Say what you will about films like the recent Star Wars trilogy, or like the Star Wars stories like Rogue One or Solo. The one great thing that it actually does is that it does give new directors a chance to go and give out their voices onto the story. So for new filmmakers to add their story onto the Star Wars lore. It doesn't have to just stick to George Lucas. It could be others as well, like J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnston. I mean, why not? If we want to keep Star Wars alive for many years to come, like even after George Lucas, then we would have no choice but to give new voices to tell the story. And I think that's what Steven Spielberg wants to do, is to have new voices. And I really do hope they do get James Mangold, because I think that would be a massive win for this movie. I think it would be an amazing idea to bring back Indiana Jones, maybe in the same way that he brought Logan onto the big screen. It would be amazing to see what he could possibly do with the part, with the role. So honestly, I do hope that James Mangold accepts being the director, so we can have quite an epic comeback for Indiana Jones. All right, so with that said, let's go and go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you guys, what do you all think of the possibility of having James Mangold be the director of Indiana Jones 5? Do you guys still wish that it was Steven Spielberg directing? Do you wish that he did not step down? Or does it make you more excited for the possibilities of Indiana Jones 5? Let me know what you all think. Let's see here. My mom is a huge Indiana Jones fan. She knows me, she showed me the films as a kid. If James Mangold went to direct, I hope he doesn't kill the iconic character like at the end of Logan. Well, I mean, if he's gotta go, he's gotta go. I mean... let's see now. To be fair, Crystal Skull, the last film Steven Spielberg directed, wasn't the best received film. In fact, some of the actors of the film, like Shia LaBeouf, weren't happy working with him. So it makes sense. For Steven to step down. It proves that you can be a great director or filmmaker, but age isn't always kind to you. I hope the best for this new director. All right, that's nice. Let's see. I was skeptical about Spielberg stepping down for the director's chair, until they announced it was going to be James Mangold instead. Say what you will about the guy, but you can't deny that he knows his way around good, compelling stories, such as how he handled Logan and Le Mans 66, or in the common tongue, Ford versus Ferrari. Okay. Let's see. As long as he doesn't hire a bad actress with the intent of banging her, I'm all for James Mangold handling Indiana Jones. Oh, right, that is true. That was a thing, actually. Oh, my God. Oh, let's see now. I just have one request for this movie. No aliens. That's it. Just stick to the supernatural and fantasy elements. Alright, got it. No, okay, so, no aliens. Gotcha. Leprechauns. That's gonna be the new thing. We're gonna add leprechauns. We're gonna make a St. Patrick's Indiana Jones movie. Alright, anyways. Let's see. I'm excited that James Mangold is directing Indiana Jones 5 after seeing Logan. I hope he gives Harrison Ford a proper send-off for the character like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Oh boy, we got contradicting comments. We got one that doesn't want to see Indiana Jones killed off, and then we want to see one with a proper send-off for Harrison Ford. Who knows? I mean, actually, that would be a good idea. Like, you know, like make it from... I don't know, maybe it sounds stupid, but like maybe for the 5th Indiana Jones film, if it is going to be Harrison Ford's last Indiana Jones movie, then maybe kind of like we would have a new Indiana Jones be like his son or something like that. Or I don't know, I'm just shooting out ideas. Anyways, let's see. I really don't know about Disney making another Indiana Jones movie. Not against James Mangold or anything. It's just that it's one of those franchises where it feels like they should let it go. With George Lucas gone, Spielberg not directing, Ford is almost in his 80s with possibly not fighting anymore, and John Williams might not score again. What's the point of continuing on? To my opinion, I think they should let it go, and that's it. Well, to be honest, as I said before, like, I get what you mean. I understand how you feel about this, but the thing is, like I said, in this current filmmaking climate, I'm honestly kind of surprised Disney has yet to actually create a new Indiana Jones movie. I'm surprised they have done nothing with the franchise as of yet. So, honestly... like, I feel like it's just going to be a matter of time, and knowing Disney, they're not going to give up until they try at least once to try to reboot Indiana Jones. The thing is, with these, with these big companies, they can be kind of stingy. They can be kind of stubborn in that way, where they don't know when to give up and when to let go of a franchise. All right, I'm going to go and read one more comment before we're going to go and jump to the next one. I hope he handles Jones well. Sometimes newcomers don't do well with long-established franchises. You could be right, but with James Mangold, he proved himself very well with Logan, so I'm hoping for the best with Indiana Jones 5. And with that said, it is now time that we are going to jump onto the grand finale. And after hearing all of these Disney news talking about their controversies, the new CEOs, and the new movies that they might have coming up, I think it is going to be time that we are going to have a break on that. And we're going to go and look into something a little bit different. And what I'm going to do is look into a trailer. Now, chances are, if you went to go and see the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie, then you have already seen this feature. That's already been done. But with this film, like, it took a while for the trailer itself to actually be released. Like, there were a few leaks during the release of Sonic the Hedgehog, but now we do got an official release. So with that said, it is now time that we are going to cap this episode off by looking at the trailer of Paramount Animation's next movie, Rumble. So let me go and set myself up for this, and let's go and check this trailer out.
Let's get ready to rumble! Are you ready? This is the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
He's coming!
Some of this. Hey, who wants a selfie?
Tentacular! I got your whole life story tattooed on my body!
Yeah.
In a long history of monster wrestling, there has never been a champion quite like Tentacular. Fans around the world are asking, is there a challenger out there with the hunger, the drive, the discipline to become the next champion?
What?
All right, I think that's enough for today.
Steve might not look like much, but there is a champion monster inside of him.
Did he eat one?
Thank you. That felt great.
We seriously need to work on strength and endurance. Fortunately, I know just the thing.
What? Yeah, that's gonna be a hard no for me.
Now oh, do it again! And again! Again! That's it! You got it! Oh boy.
This is my nightmare.
And that was the trailer for Rumble, which we are not going to be getting for a long time. In fact, I'm kind of shocked of the fact that we just got this trailer right now, because we're just starting 2021. No, we're just starting 2020. And this movie isn't going to be coming out until 2021, so it still has like a full year until its release. Now, I think with this, I just need to go and start things off by mentioning my positives, because there are a lot of things that I do love about this. Like, number one, I really, really like this concept. So far, that sounds like an epically genius idea. Like, the whole thing about monster wrestling, where, like, in a way, you're kind of making a kaiju-style movie, but you're really emphasizing the wrestling theme. In fact, like, some people might say, oh, it's gonna be like some kind of WWE match. Well, it's kind of a coincidence, because WWE is actually co-producing this. And on top of that, what I do love about it is actually the creativity with what they could think of with the monsters, especially with, so far we only got 3 that we've seen so far. Like, we got the champion, Tentacular, we got the main guy, which is, Will Arnett, which is the, you know, the fat horn guy, and then we also got the, like, the Triceratops girl. Like, I don't think there's an official name for her yet, but, like, we also have her. That's another representation of the monster, of the monsters. But the big thing, what I really do like about this is that with the concept, it does bring out a lot of creativity, especially with a lot of potential with what they can do with the monster wrestling. Like the best thing about this trailer, I gotta say, is how they are showing off Tentacular, where we see him as like this big shark monster with arms that can pretty much go from being like human arms to like a bunch of tentacles, and like he has so many different abilities as well. Like he can also, hold on a sec, like there's one moment like where Tentacular can glow. Like, it really does play a lot on like this fish themed monster, and it actually does make me really excited to see what else they can do with all these different monsters. And one thing that we have yet to fully see is actually any of the wrestling. Now that's going to be one thing that I feel like will truly be epic. And on top of that, like, even at that, I will say the animation is not that bad. I feel like the animation here can most certainly go and pull this off, where we can actually see the great potential where they can show off a lot of different creative, like a whole bunch of beautifully designed monsters, where they're going to show a lot of creativity. And in a way, if I do have to make a comparison, it does remind me a lot of something like Monsters, Inc., where it does have a bit of that style. Like you do see a little bit of that creativity of the monsters, especially with the Will Arnett monster. That does look a bit like something out of Monsters, Inc. And, like, not only are we going to get a whole bunch of creative designs, but I can imagine, like, when they're going to be attacking each other, when they are going to be legitimately wrestling, I can imagine that it's going to be something in which, like, it will be a true highlight when the movie is going to be coming out, where we do see the creativity, where they would unleash, like, the monster's abilities. and like we would see like a whole collection of them, like what their special powers are, what their wrestling moves are, what would be like their signature moves in a way. Like it would be like a highly creative monster style wrestling match. Now that part I'm honestly very excited for. But then you get into the actual movie itself. And holy crap, is that a freaking disaster. This story so far, what they are presenting here, I'm sorry, I may sound harsh when I say this, but this is garbage. Like, all I see so far is pure, unoriginal garbage. In fact, the biggest comparison that I can think of when watching this is that this is reminding me so much of Kung Fu Panda. Of Kung Fu Panda. I was about to say Kung Fu Panda 2. But, no, the big thing is that it reminds me so much of Kung Fu Panda, where it is this sports style kind of story where you start off with this fat blob, and from there he has to continuously train, and we're gonna see like a bunch of funny dumb montages that emphasizes a lot more on slapstick, where eventually he will become the champion and his dreams will come true and all that kind of stuff. I feel like already it just feels so predictable, and even at that, the humor isn't necessarily all that great. Like, the humor, like, whenever they try to do, like, the slapstick kind of stuff, I feel like it's very typical. I mean, like, whenever you would see, like, some kind of montage featuring a fat character, how many times have we seen this joke? Whoops. Hold on a sec. Let me redo that because I forgot I kind of muted the whole thing. Okay. Yeah, like, as I was saying, how many times have we seen this joke?
What?
Alright, I think that's enough for today.
Like, that's been done way too many times, of the old joke of, like, trying to do a pull-up or trying to do a push-up or something like that. And then, like, you got the trainer on the side going, okay, 1. And that's it. That seems like a typical thing. And especially, like, another thing being involved, it's like even this kind of thing, like even this kind of slapstick with the Triceratops or the dinosaur-like woman coming in, trying to help out the Will Arnett monster.
You got it!
Like another typical,
Oh boy.
This is my nightmare.
yeah, this is another, like, kind of dull kind of, how can I describe it? It's another dumb gag that, like, we've seen way too many times before. It just, like, honestly, with the whole execution as a movie, it just feels so generic, and the jokes are just not funny. So, like, honestly, with all this, it's like, I want to see the potential, because honestly, visually, this is a great looking and stunning feature. It has the requirements in order, like, it has the materials in order to become an in order to become an amazing animated feature. But my problem with this is just the execution. When you get into the movie aspect, that's when things really fall apart, and that's when things start to really feel like just another bland and generic animated kids flick. Like, I love the animation, I love the creativity that they put on the design of the monsters, and I can't wait to see them actually in action when they would go and actually do some wrestling moves and stuff. But other than that, so far, it's just, there's nothing that's truly selling me as a movie. I mean, like, yeah, sure, like, maybe it would sell, like, maybe, like, if they were promoting this as, like, you know, as a toy lineup, that would actually be epic. But as a feature film, no, it's just none of this, like, it's just, well, not none of this, but it's just really the movie aspect, like, the feeling that I get in terms of the writing, the feeling that I get in terms of, like, the performance of the actors and stuff like that. I just feel like this is just going to be a lost cause altogether. And I mean, maybe I could be wrong on this, because so far this is the first trailer, and not only that, but it's not going to be until an entire year until this movie does get officially released. So who knows? Maybe in the future we are going to see something that's a little bit more different than this. Maybe we are going to see a bit of character designs that are going to be changed a little bit. Maybe they will update the story a bit so that they would also have new they would also have the actors come back and do some rework some of the new dialogue. Like, maybe they will actually do some changes. They got a lot of time so far, and again, it's actually kind of shocking the fact that they would release this trailer super early, but I don't know, like, maybe they will, maybe they will take the time in order to go and update some things, but so far, I'm not really into it. And also, like, another side note, like, as much as I really do like the animation, I don't know how to feel about, like, the design of the human characters. Like, I don't know, it's just, there's something about them that just looks a bit weird or uncanny. I don't know, it's just, it's hard to really pinpoint the problem. It's just, for me, it's not gelling with me well. It doesn't, like, they don't look finished. They look generic in a way. They just look like generic templates, and hopefully they will go and update that soon. Like honestly, like, you do see a lot of detail and a lot of great work done on the monsters, but then, like, you got the human characters that just look, I don't know, it's just, I don't know if it's me or they just look a bit off. So yeah, overall, honestly, I love the concept. I love some of the animation, especially with the monsters, but when it comes to the movie itself, I am not excited for this at all, to be honest. So, with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you guys, what do you all think about this trailer of Rumble? What are your first impressions of it? Do you disagree with me and actually do like this trailer? Do you think it's actually enjoyable? Does it make you excited for the movie? Or is this film not really, is this movie not really selling you all that well? Are you not really that excited? So let me go and let me know what you all think about this. Let's see. It's like Monsters, Inc. or Monsters vs. Aliens, but with all that wrestling and stuff. I see WWE Studios and Walden Media have done it, just in time after Walden finished producing The Star for Sony. And it still hyped me off for that. Thanks to Paramount Animation, they will yet to be sooner to become anticipated movie next year. I would see it next year. Before you end this episode, I have one question. Why all this movie could handle too much why all this movie could handle too much wrestling references, aren't they? Probably. Anyways, let's see. Let me guess. Steve's gonna be a screw up, but he eventually gets better at wrestling. Then there's a big misunderstanding, and he says he doesn't need Winnie, but they eventually reconcile. The big match arrives, and Tentacular is the twist villain. Steve is knocked down, but gathers his strength to take down Tentacular. Steve wins. Dance party ending. Boom. Just save y'all $10 and 11 months. That, sadly, that could be the case. The dude is entirely right. With the way that it's so generic so far, it's like, that could be the thing where there is going to be that dance party, and there is going to be that moment of misunderstanding and reconciliation, and taking down Tentacular to be the new champion and stuff like that. Like, there is going to be all that. Like, I'm sure there is going to be all that happening. Let's see now. Rumble seems like an interesting idea. Pretty rare for a kids movie to have kaiju monsters in a wrestling match. And I do like animation being more imaginative with the monster designs, and that got my attention. But why release a trailer a year from now? Because normally it would be a 4-month wait for a movie to come out with the trailer to fill in the wait. But besides that, I will see it since I'm a Godzilla fan nutcase. Plus, I'm sure it will be better than Wonder Park that Paramount also did. Yeah, well, I don't know, because, well, I mean, yeah, it's not mean-spirited. It's like, it's not pulling off some dumb crap of like, oh, the mom has cancer. Oh, but look at that, at the end she's okay, magically, without any explanation. Like, it doesn't have a depressing, this depressing, melancholy mood that's ruining it. Like, maybe it's better than that, but honestly, I don't know. Even at that, I would still debate, maybe it could end up being on par with Wonder Park. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Let's see now. To me, I just don't know. Like, I do get the concept and this whole Kung Fu Panda thing, like, story could give an idea to it, but I'm not really getting into what it's selling. But I'll keep in mind this might be just a small taste, as it is a teaser, so it might catch up. Maybe somewhat, who knows? Yeah, exactly. Like, who knows? Maybe when the next trailer comes out, like, sometime maybe in the fall, like, maybe it will be something that will be much more interesting that will catch our eye, so there could be that as well. Alright, I'm gonna go and read one more comment before we before we get out. I was surprised to see this trailer appear before the Sonic movie appeared, but it looked terrible. Outside of the decent animation, it looks like a mediocre at best film after looking at this trailer, especially having a Dirty Dancing reference at the end. Also, I think it's dumb for Paramount to release a trailer too early when scheduled for a January 2021 release. And also known as the dump month, which is something that tells that this movie is not going to be good. Not looking forward, in my opinion. Oh, this is going to be coming out in freaking January? Whew, boy. I feel like it's been a while since we've had those, but, oh god, if that thing is going to make a comeback then, oh boy, I am so not excited for this then. But with that said, I think now is a good time to go and cap off this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And what a crazy episode it has been. I know that we have dived into a lot of controversy, but hopefully we still maintained a lot of the madness. So I would just like to go and say thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. And by next time, hopefully we will still have a lot of that madness. So until next time, see you later, dudes!